but I'm going to do a chain 1 and join with a half double crochet. Then I'm going to chain up and work my first shell again in that first space. Depending upon your tension and how big your stitches are, you could make do with a join with a single crochet there if you don't need as much space. Now we have a side, so we're going to chain 1 as we did on the previous row, but now we don't have a corner. We're not going to make another corner here because this is along the side, so we're just going to put a shell there. A shell being 3 double crochets. Then we're going to chain 1 again, and now we're at the corner, so we're going to do another corner shell, chain 3, and shell again. Now we're at our second side. We're going to chain 1, work a shell between the 2 shells on the previous row, chain 1 again, and then we're back to the corner. So we're going to make another corner there. And we're going to continue around working a shell between shells and then a corner in the corner for this row till we get to the where we have to join again. See how it's coming out? Now I've done all the sides. I'm back to the beginning where I made my first shell. So I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to make my last shell for that corner. Now I have choices. Okay, we're at the end of, we have 1, 2, 3. We're on our third round rather. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to start to join in the top of the chain 3 with a half double crochet. And we're going to join our new yarn by finishing our half double crochet with the new yarn. Then we're going to go up. We're going to make our first shell here in that same space. Right here. Then we're going to chain 1 because here we are at a side. And we're going to go ahead and make a chain 1 and a shell, chain 1 shell, chain 1 and corner all the way around. I've worked all the way around with my turquoise. See, I have all my shells. I did chain 1 shell, chain 1 shell, chain 1 corner, chain 1 shell, chain 1 shell, chain 1 corner, chain 1 shell, chain 1 shell, chain 1 corner, chain 1 shell, chain 1 shell, and I'm back now at my beginning. As you can see, there's only one. This is a corner, but there's only one shell here, so I need another shell. Now, if I'm following a pattern that needs a certain number of rounds, I need to know how many rounds I've done. Well, here is my beginning strand, so I'll count my rows, or my rounds rather. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on round 4. I'm finishing round 4. Now, you might wonder why I choose to use the chain 1 half double crochet for my join. The reason why I do that is because, pretend that this is not a corner and I have to slip stitch over to get to the corner. So we're going to slip stitch here in our join, slip stitch in the next, slip stitch in the next, and then we, if this was our corner, we would be slip stitching in the chain 3 space. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but this area here is thicker than this area here. Doesn't add any height. The stitches are the same height, but it does add a little bit of thickness. If you're using the same color yarn, it's not really a big deal. Doesn't really show up that much. But if you're using a variegated yarn, odds are that your colors are going to be different when you get to that slip stitch over. So just my personal preference, and you can do it any way that you prefer, whatever, you know, floats your boat, so to speak. I'm going to join with a chain 1 and a half double crochet. Then I would again make a shell, chain up, and work 2 double crochets in this same spot to give me my first shell of round 5. Then I'm going to chain 1 because we're going along a side, and you'll notice that on each round I will gain more side. Now we're going to chain 1 shell, chain 1 shell, and be back at a corner, chain 1, and then I'm going to do a corner. Now you notice on the previous row we had chain 1 shell, chain 1 shell. On this row we have chain 1 shell, chain 1 shell, chain 1 shell. We have an additional shell between the previous row's shells, and on each succeeding row we will have more shells on each side. So if you're going, say you're looking at your stash and you're looking for yarns to join together into one square, you would want to choose your yarn balls that are smaller for your beginning rounds, because you're going to need more yarn for each succeeding round as you go. Okay, this is the end of our round. I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch, and then I would finish off by cutting my yarn at least 6 inches. I like to cut a lot. Then I would yarn over and pull through here, but I'm not going to do that because what I normally do is an invisible finish off. I have my needles on my little pin cushion here that fits around my wrist. Isn't that cute? And I'm going to thread my needle, which I did. Here, let me show you how to do that. What I learned to do when I was a little girl, I just run my thread over my needle so that it gets really tight, and then I thread it like that. You can use a needle threader if you have one. Now I'll skip my chain up, and I'm going to go into the next stitch from the front to the back through both loops. I'm going to come out the back, come back through the front, and go in my last stitch, whatever it is. In this case, it's a chain. And there you can't even see where that was joined. Of course, I'm going to have to weave this in however it works best. But that's how you do the invisible join. So all these ends should be woven in on the back side. You notice that when we were doing our rounds, we never turned. We worked the entire thing on one side. Now I have seen patterns where you do turn, and you can do that if you want to, but most of the granny squares that I've made, in fact pretty much all of them, have been worked on one side. So you have a front side and a back side. So when you assemble your squares, you want to make sure you've got all the front sides. And that's how you make a granny square.